In this video, we're going to discuss automatic versus manual integration. So there are a variety of ways to integrate UberMenu into your theme. Integration just means the way that we're going to add UberMenu into your theme, and UberMenu provides a variety of ways to do that. For example, you can use the UberMenu widget, you can use a shortcode, or you can use a PHP snippet. Now, in general, you want to replace a menu that already exists in your theme with UberMenu. So the two ways that you would normally do that would be automatic or manual integration. Now, just to understand how that works, your theme defines where within the layout the menu will appear. And to do that, it uses a function called WP_nav_menu. So if we take a look at, for example, the 2012 theme, and we're going to look in the header.php. So the header.php is the file that's used to display the top part of your site that's going to be consistent across all your pages. And you'll see that the theme calls WP_nav_menu with a specific theme location. And that theme location maps to the theme locations that you see in the menus panel when you assign your menu. So the location of this function within the code determines where within your theme's layout the menu will appear. So what automatic integration means is that UberMenu will replace the code that is output by this WP_nav_menu function with UberMenu. So by default, this function is going to output some HTML, and your theme defines how that works and how it's styled. What UberMenu does is replaces that HTML and CSS and JavaScript with UberMenu's code in order to inject UberMenu into your theme. So in a nutshell, if all the HTML that is responsible for displaying your theme's menu is generated by this WP_nav_menu function, as it should be, then UberMenu will be able to automatically replace that menu. However, if your theme has hard-coded HTML around this function, which contributes to the display of that menu, then you'll end up needing to use manual integration. So let's look at some examples. Let's go to our demo site that we have set up here, and let's install a new theme. Let's go to the popular themes list in the repository. And let's install the theme called Responsive. We'll activate it. Now let's just take a quick look at our site, and you'll see by default this is just a fallback menu which includes some pages from the current installation. So the first thing, of course, is that we actually need to assign a menu to the theme location that this theme defines. So you'll see that this theme actually defines 4 different theme locations. The one that we're going to deal with is the header menu. So let's assign our demo menu to the header menu theme location. And this is what this theme's menu looks like by default. Again, we're not using UberMenu yet here. This is just how the theme's menu looks. So now what we want to do is use automatic integration to enable UberMenu on this specific menu. So we'll go to our UberMenu control panel, and under our main UberMenu configuration, we're going to activate our header menu theme location. Now let's take a look at the front end, and you'll see that we have UberMenu appearing now. And we'll just compare it to what it looked like originally. And And you can see that the menu has been completely replaced. So let's just take a quick peek at the code. So if we look at the original menu, this is the themes menu. And we'll take a look, for example, at how the anchors in the top level are styled. And you'll see that the styles are based on this class menu. So you can see the anchors are styled with .menu_a. The list items are styled with .menu_li. And you can see that that menu class appears here, which is on the wrapper unordered list element. So if we look at the code, we're going to open up the responsive theme and look at its header.php. And now we're just going to look for where WP nav menu appears. You'll see here's one instance, but this is for the top menu, so that's not the one we're looking for. Here's the second instance, and this is the one we're looking for because it's using the header menu theme location. You can see what it's done is it set the container class to main nav, and that menu class is actually set automatically by the WP nav menu function, assuming you don't set any other class. So all of the markup for this menu from the div with the class main nav, which you can see here, is created by this WP nav menu function. That means when UberMenu replaces it, none of that original menu is left, and we just have UberMenu. That means that the themes menu isn't affecting UberMenu, and UberMenu is able to act independently. Alright, so now let's look at a theme that doesn't do things as modularly. Let's add a new theme, again from the popular list. This time let's install Spacious. We'll activate this theme, and now we'll go to our menus panel, and again we want to assign a menu to the primary menu. And now let's take a look at the site with our new theme. Alright, so here's the theme's default menu. UberMenu is not acting on this menu at this point, so we can see what it looks like. Now let's go ahead and go into our UberMenu control panel, and you can see that we have new theme locations, and we want to activate UberMenu on the primary menu theme location. So now let's take a look at the front end of the site, and we'll see that doesn't really look too good. The responsive toggle is showing. When we hover over these submenus, they're not appearing in the right place. They're obviously way too high. And look at this, when we hover over this submenu is a mess. So obviously these mega menu columns should be showing at all times, not just when we're hovering over them. So yeah, obviously this is not working the way we want it to. And the problem here is that the theme's CSS and JavaScript from its original menu is still affecting the menu when UberMenu replaces it. So let's take a look at the code. You'll see here's UberMenu, but it's still being wrapped by this other nav element with an ID of site navigation and class of main navigation, and this is a hard-coded wrapper from the theme. So let's take a look at some of the elements here. Start off with looking at the responsive toggle. You can see by default UberMenu is saying that this should be hidden, but because of this style .main navigation a from the themes style.css, it's showing it. And likewise, if we look at the submenus, you can see that there are still styles from the theme which are affecting the menu, and these styles are going to interfere with UberMenu's structure and functionality. So we can actually test out the solution right here in the browser, at least the CSS part of it. Let's go ahead and effectively remove this ID by changing it, and remove this class by changing it. And now you'll see the menu looks a lot better immediately. Not everything is right because there's also some JavaScript affecting it, but you can see that it's immediately significantly better than it was. So what we want to do is we want UberMenu to be independent. We don't want it to be wrapped by the themes menu so that we end up with conflicting styles and a big mess. So we want to move UberMenu outside of this site navigation nav element. So to do that, we need to edit the theme's header. So let's open the header.php for the spacious theme. And we'll find where WP nav menu gets called. Here it is. So we can see that structure. Here's our menu with our primary theme location. And you can see wrapping it is this nav ID equals site navigation, class equals main navigation, which is what we're looking at here. So the quick and dirty way to do this is to just delete this menu and put UberMenu here instead. Now remember, we actually want to do this in a child theme, but just to test this out, we're going to do it in the parent theme. So let's get the manual integration code by going to the UberMenu settings, scroll down under the main UberMenu configuration, under manual integration. It gives you some basic code. We want to integrate this specific theme location because we'll still reuse the theme location that the menu is providing. So we'll say we want to use the primary menu. You can see it automatically generates our manual integration code for us. So we're just going to copy this, and then we'll go back to the theme. Let's remove the theme menu. So this entire block generates the menu. We want to get rid of that. And instead we're going to paste in our manual integration code. So we'll save that, and then let's refresh. And you can see now UberMenu is working as intended. This column is lined up properly, our tabs are working. When we hover over the submenu column headers, nothing's disappearing on us. All right. So now our menu is functioning properly because we moved it outside of the themes menu wrapper. Now that's a good start, but keep in mind right now, if we disable UberMenu, we're going to end up with a PHP error because that function UberMenu won't exist anymore. So to make this a bit more robust, what we want to do is set the theme up to use UberMenu when UberMenu is enabled, but fall back to the theme menu if UberMenu is not enabled. This allows you to disable UberMenu, the entire plugin, in the future if you want. For example, if you want to update, or if you just want to disable it for a minute to test something, or if you decide you don't want to use it in the future. So let's go back to what we had before with our theme menu. So I'm just going to undo the change I made. And we just want to say, if UberMenu is loaded, use UberMenu, otherwise use this code. So now here's our UberMenu code, and here's our default code. I'll just show you what happens if we save that and refresh. We'll end up with two menus because we're saying do UberMenu, and then we're saying do the theme menu. And on top, you'll see that we have the properly formatted UberMenu, apart from being hidden behind the lower one. And on the bottom, you'll see that we have the screwed up UberMenu because of the theme wrapping it and causing residual styling. So back in our code, we're just going to say if this UberMenu function exists, print UberMenu. Otherwise, show the theme menu. So this is a very simple structure. It's just if function UberMenu exists, else code, and if. And this code can be found in the knowledge base under the manual integration instructions. Right here in case you want to copy it. So place this code before, make sure that you replace the UberMenu function with the code that's generated by your theme so that you have the proper theme location. And then you just put this after the theme's code. Alright, so what we really want to do is place this in a child theme, because if we were to update our theme, it would overwrite our header.php file, and then we would lose all our changes. And we definitely don't want that to happen. So this is, you can use the concept of child themes with WordPress in order to preserve your changes and only override specific templates or add specific functions or add new styles that won't be overridden when you update your theme. So let's create a really simple child theme. There are lots of instructions online for this, and there are also plugins that'll do this for you. Many themes, if you buy a premium theme, will actually come with a starter child theme, which they should, because it's absolutely the way that you should be customizing your themes. You shouldn't edit the parent theme unless you absolutely have to and you don't intend on updating in the future. So creating a child theme is actually really easy. In the themes directory, just create a new folder, and we're creating a child theme of the spacious theme, so I'm going to call it spacious child. The only file that a child theme really needs to have is a style.css, so we'll create one of those. It has to have a special header to tell it to inherit from its parent theme. So it's easiest to just start off with the style.css from the parent theme, copy it into your child theme, rename it. Adding child right after it is the simplest way to do that. And then we just have to tell it what its parent theme is. So we're going to say template is spacious. We will save that. Now let's go back and look at our themes. And we'll see that we have a new theme here called Spacious Child. And if we look at the theme details, you'll see this theme is a child of Spacious. So that's all there was to creating a child theme. We will need to import that parent style.css file in order to get all those styles in there. But let's activate this. And we'll refresh the front end. All right, so there's no styles, and that's because the parent style sheet is not being loaded right now. So in here, we just need to tell it to import the parent style sheet. I actually think there's better ways to do this without using import by just enqueuing the parent theme file, but this is the way that WordPress describes it in the codex, so we'll use this for now. So the // just means from the parent file, or from the parent directory, sorry. We want to grab spacious, and we want to grab its style.css. Okay, now we refresh, and all our styles are back. Okay, so we want to assign a menu. Remember, when you switch themes, the theme locations are considered to be new locations, even if it's just a child theme. So we need to assign the menu again. Okay, there's our menu, and remember we already edited the parent theme's header.php, so let's just go back and undo these changes, which simply means deleting this and deleting that, and now you'll see we're right back to where we started with the theme all messed up. So now what we want to do is we want to make these edits in the child theme instead of in the parent theme. So all we want to do is copy our header.php file into our child theme. So let's just create a new header.php, and then I'm going to just select all and copy and paste into the child theme header.php that we just created. Now find where we were again, and we just want to recreate those exact settings. Now before we do anything else, I'll just to check that we're editing the right file. So the way this works in a child theme is that any template that you define within the child theme, now remember this is templates, it's not any file, but specifically templates like header.php, footer.php, content.php. These templates will be overridden if you add them to the child theme. So by creating a header.php in the child theme, we're going to override the parent theme's header.php. So let's just check that we're here. I'm going to write here I am in the child theme's header.php. You can see here's my here I am. We know we're loading this file. If I try to add something to the parent, you'll see that does not appear, but it would if we switched back to the parent theme. Okay, so back in our child theme header.php, we want to recreate the changes that we originally made in the header.php. I just copied those over to the side so that it would be easy to recreate. So here are our changes again. If function exists UberMenu, do the UberMenu manual integration code. Otherwise, use the theme's default menu code. All right, I'm going to save that. And now we have UberMenu working properly. And just to show you in the code, there is no more of this site navigation, main navigation, nav wrapper. It's just UberMenu, and that's why it's now working, as there's no longer any interference from the theme. All right, so that's really all there is to it. You identify the menu itself and where the styles are coming from, and then you just put UberMenu's manual integration code outside of that, and when UberMenu exists, you display the the manual integration code, and when it doesn't, you use the theme. All right, let's look at another example. Let's go back to our themes and add a new one. This time, let's install Hathor. Now, I'm specifically choosing themes that I know require manual integration. Most of the ones I tested, like Virtue and Dazzling and Contango and a variety of those, they all work with automatic integration, so that's why I'm not choosing those ones. So I've activated Hathor. All right, let's go and assign a menu here. So again, because we've switched themes, we need to assign a menu. We're working with the primary navigation menu. Assign our demo recreation. Now let's see what the site looks like. All right, so here is the theme's default menu. You can see what it looks like. Okay, so let's attempt automatic integration with this theme. We'll go to the UberMenu control panel, and we will try to automatically integrate on the primary navigation. All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, and obviously this is a mess. Submenus aren't opening. The color's wrong. Clearly this is not how UberMenu is supposed to look. Okay, so let's take a look at what might be going on here. Obviously the theme's styles are interfering here, so let's take a look at what our markup is in the Chrome DevTools. So here's UberMenu, and it is being wrapped by this nav menu div. And just to test and see if this is the problem, change this to something else quickly, and you can see the menu immediately looks the way it's supposed to. So we just need to find this where the menu is in the theme and use manual integration to move UberMenu outside of it. Just to show you, if we take a look at, for example, the anchors here, you can see that the theme's styles are based on this nav menu ID. And because it's using an ID, it's got a much higher specificity than UberMenu styles, and therefore it's overriding UberMenu styles. So you can see it's creating a large font size. If we remove that, UberMenu styles show through. It's overriding the color. If we remove that, you'll see UberMenu styles. There are all sorts of things going on here. There's also some padding on these list items. You can see that there's padding on the top. The height is being changed. So you can see all these different things that are coming from the themes style.css from its ID, and that's why as soon as we remove that ID, everything is pretty much resolved, right? So we just need to do that in the code so that it's actually full time. Now, note that you could, of course, find the CSS within the theme's files, and you could just delete all of these styles, right? But the problem is, if you edit a theme file, that means in the future when you update, you're going to have to edit that file every single time you update your theme. So removing CSS styles from a theme really isn't a maintainable change to make. So in order to make it as maintainable as possible, we just want to remove the actual HTML markup, because you can override HTML markup in a child theme. All right, so let's find where that is. Let's go to our themes folder, and we'll find Hathor. And where we want to start is header.php. So let's take a look here. All right, this header.php is pretty sparse. There's not really much in here. What you can see is it is grabbing two other templates to place in here. All right, so we need to be able to locate the themes menu in order to actually change it. So there's a few ways we can go about doing that. You could look at the template part path, for example. In this case, it's fairly obvious. The template part is in dummy, dummy head 1. So if we open up dummy and look at dummy head 1, here is our menu wrap with our nav menu ID and our WP nav menu function. Sometimes it's not quite so straightforward or not quite so obvious. So if you can't tell from looking at the header.php where the menu appears, you can search the entire theme either for the WP nav menu function or for the ID or class that you're trying to remove. So most code editors will have this function if you're using something. This is Sublime Text 2, but most will have a global search function. So if you search on your theme folder, find and replace, I'm going to search for WP nav menu, This is going to show me every place in the theme that the theme is printing a menu. So you can see that there are 3 files in which the theme might print a menu. This dummy head1 file, the head1 file, and the head2 file. Now, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes you need to do a little trial and error. If we click on this file, you'll see that this one is wrapped with menu wrap 2, but if we compare it to our what we're seeing on the front end, we're looking at just menu wrap without a 2, so this is not the file. If we look at our other 2 options, they're both using menu wrap with nav menu, so it's not obvious which one of these is actually in use. So you could just try to print something out. So if we go on head1 and I just type hello. Alright, I'm not seeing anything. If I go to dummy head1 and I type hello, oh, there's my hello. So I know that this file is being used. Obviously there's lots of ways to tell which one, but that's a pretty straightforward method for just determining which file is actually being used. So dummy head1 is where we're going to want to make our change. So we want to leave menu wrap there because if we look at how this theme is set up, menu wrap is floated right, and we want our menu to be floated right along with that. But menu wrap isn't actually causing any residual styling because it's really just a container that's providing a position for the menu. It's not actually providing any styling for the menu. So we want to leave this one and remove this one. Okay, so let's break this out just so we can see it a little better. We can see that we have the menu wrapping nav menu. Okay, so you can see how this structure mimics or creates the structure on the front end. Menu wrap, nav menu, and then the menu, UberMenu. So again, we could just delete this and replace it with the UberMenu manual integration code, but let's make it a little more robust. So first things first, let's grab the manual integration code from the settings. We want to integrate the primary navigation theme location. Going to copy that back in our dummy head1.php. There's the code we want to add, so we can check what's going on at this point. We'll see we end up with 2 menus. The working menu that we just added via manual integration and the problematic menu below. So now we just want to show one at a time. So if UberMenu exists, show UberMenu, otherwise show the theme menu. And we refresh, and now you can see we just have UberMenu. If we look at the code, it is no longer wrapped in that ID that was giving us trouble, the nav menu ID. Okay, and so the theme is no longer interfering with the menu's functionality. All right, that's pretty much it. Just as another side tip, because this menu is aligned to the right, you might want the submenu to be able to be wider than the menu bar, which is what restricts it by default. So if we were to go into the UberMenu settings and to position and layout, under submenus, we can bound the submenu. We'll change that to unbounded. That means that the menu bar will no longer restrict the width of the submenu. And now you can see that the submenu expands to the width of the theme container, which is just the next relatively positioned parent item of the menu. All right. So of course, also remember that what you would want to do is create a child theme. You would want to create Hathor child, then you would want to create a dummy directory and a dummy head1 file within that directory in your child theme. And then you would make these changes there instead of in the parent theme. That way those changes will be preserved if you update in the future. All right, let's look at one more example. So we'll go back to our themes panel and let's add a new theme. Let's install MHPurity Lite. Now we'll go assign our menu to the main navigation theme location. I'll take a look at how things are looking. Okay, so this is the theme's default menu. So let's activate UberMenu on this theme location, attempt our automatic integration. Activate on the main navigation theme location. All right, so that looks pretty good, right? But not quite. So this is a little more subtle. The menu bar looks like it's working correctly, and some of the submenus, yeah, they look like they're pretty much there. But for example, in the mega menu submenu, we're missing our column content. And then when we hover, it's revealed, and no, this is clearly not how things are supposed to work. So now, if you're not really sure, you know, I mean, this isn't completely obvious at first glance that there's something wrong. If you're not sure if the theme's interfering, what you can do is use this this feature in the UberMenu control panel called direct injection testing. So if I activate this, what it's going to do is add an UberMenu into my site in the footer, and then it's going to fix it in the header so that you can take a look at it. This is just meant for testing, however. You don't actually want to put your menu in the footer in most cases, mostly for SEO reasons. You want search engines to see the navigation at the top of your site so that they can get a good sense of the structure of your site. And they're expecting to see it in your header, so that's generally where you want to have it. So let's see what happens now that I've added that direct injection testing. You'll see I'm prompted to assign a menu to the UberMenu direct injection theme location. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to assign the same menu so that I can compare them apples to apples. And then when I refresh, you'll see now I have UberMenu at the top here, and it's doesn't have any interference from the theme. Now, there is one major difference, and that's that this theme, because it's in the footer and it's fixed at the top of the site, it's not restricted by the width of your content. So it's expanding to the full width of the viewport, and you're going to end up with much wider submenus than you would have had otherwise. However, you can still compare. So for example, you can see that in the mega menu submenu, this is the way it's supposed to look. It's supposed to have 5 columns with content in each of those columns, and if we compare that to the mega menu that's been automatically replaced within the theme, that's not what we're getting. So you can see that the theme must be interfering in some way, because you can see that when the theme does not interfere with a menu that's been placed outside of the themes menu, that menu functions properly, and the menu that's inside the themes menu is not functioning properly. All right, so once again, we need to remove the residual styling here. So let's first take a quick look, see what we're dealing with. All right, so here's UberMenu, and you can see it is wrapped in this nav element with a class main nav, so that's very likely what we'll end up needing to remove. Let's just delete that to test it out. And you can see as soon as we delete that, our column contents show up just fine. So that is very likely all we'll need to do is change that class. Again, I'll undo that so you can see with the class we get this screwiness, and delete the class again, and now the menu is functioning properly. Alright, so let's go track down that main nav class. We'll go look in our themes folder. We're working with MHPRD Lite at the moment, so we're going to take a look in the header, and you can see this one is dead simple. Here's our menu. It's pretty much the only thing in the header. Here's our main nav class, and we just want to move the menu out of that. Now you could just delete this and refresh, and now it's working just fine. But if we were to disable UberMenu right now, you wouldn't get any errors, but because all the styles for the themes menu are based on this main nav class, you'd get an unstyled menu. So again, just to make it more robust, we'll put in some PHP to check if UberMenu exists and only make the changes then. So let's go to our settings and we'll grab the manual integration code. We want to integrate main navigation. We're going to copy this code. We're going to say if the function UberMenu exists, which of course means if the plugin is activated, we'll print UberMenu. Otherwise, we'll show the themes menu. Okay. Oops, that's not what we want to refresh. All right, so let's refresh the front end. And you can see our menu is working as expected. And we'll also want to, of course, disable the direct injection testing now that actually before I do that, let's just compare. You can see that now the menus are looking the same. Obviously this one is wider, but apart from that, we have the same layout and the same functionality, so now we know that the menu is functioning properly. So at this point, we'll want to disable the direct injection testing. And now we're left with just the properly functioning menu. And again, we would want to create a child theme for MHPRD Lite. We'd copy the header into it and make our changes there to preserve them for the future. The other thing you might notice is that once in a while you might lose styles that you actually wanted to have in the menu. So previously, UberMenu was inheriting the menus font, but since we removed that wrapper, now it's just inheriting the next sort of font up within the theme hierarchy, and that's this Volcorn font that the theme is defining for the body. So say we really wanted this to be a sans serif font rather than a serif font. Now that we have UberMenu integrated, we can just come over to the customizer and we'll take a look. Let's use a Google font and we can set it to Roboto if we want. And now we have a sans serif font instead, or we can set it to Railway, or whatever we like. So so now we can get back a style from the menu, or if we wanted to set a custom font property, we could just type that in right here and save our changes. All right, so I think that gives a good overview. I hope that has helped you with any manual integration or residual styling problems that you're having. It's a pretty straightforward process. You just need to know how to figure out where to look for the code that you need to adjust. Hope that's helpful for you.